It was a cold Christmas Eve in New York City. The streets were bustling with last-minute shoppers, their arms full of brightly wrapped presents. Snowflakes drifted lazily from the sky, coating the sidewalks in a soft white blanket. Amid the holiday cheer, a small figure stood at the corner of a busy street. A little girl bundled in a worn-out coat, holding a small basket of candy canes. She had a sign propped up beside her that read, "Candy canes for $1. Help me make Christmas special for my family." Her rosy cheeks and hopeful smile caught the attention of passersby, but most were too preoccupied to stop. Some dropped a coin or two, but many just walked past, without a glance. Barron Trump, now a young man in his late teens, was out running an errand for his mother. Despite his privileged upbringing, Barron had been taught the importance of humility and kindness. As his car slowed at the intersection, he noticed the girl standing alone. Something about her determination struck a chord in his heart. He asked the driver to stop. Barron stepped out of the car, pulling his coat tighter against the chill. The little girl's eyes widened as he approached, though she didn't seem to recognize him. Her small hands trembled slightly as she clutched the basket closer to her chest. "Hi there," Barron said with a warm smile. "What's your name?" The girl hesitated for a moment, then replied softly, "Sarah." "That's a beautiful name," Barron said, kneeling slightly to meet her eye level. "Are you selling these candy canes all by yourself?" Sarah nodded. "Yes, sir. I'm trying to help my mom and little brother. We don't have much for Christmas, so I wanted to do something special." Barron's heart tightened. This young girl, barely 8 or 9 years old, was standing in the freezing cold, trying to make Christmas better for her family. "How much are they?" he asked, reaching into his pocket. "They're $1 each," Sarah said, her voice filled with a mix of hope and nervousness. Barron looked at the basket. There couldn't have been more than 20 candy canes left. He thought for a moment and then pulled out a crisp $100 bill. "How about I buy all of them?" he said, holding the bill out to her. Sarah's eyes widened in shock. "All of them? Are you serious?" Barron chuckled. "Absolutely, but on one condition. You have to keep one for yourself, okay?" Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes as she nodded. Thank you so much." She handed him the basket, her hands shaking, and Barron took it carefully. But he didn't walk away. Instead, he crouched down again and said, "Sarah, can I ask you something? Why are you doing this alone? Where's your mom?" Sarah hesitated, then said, "She's at home with my baby brother. He's sick, and she can't leave him alone. She's been really sad because we don't have money for gifts or a nice dinner. I just wanted to help." Barron felt a lump form in his throat. This wasn't just about candy canes. This was about a little girl trying to shoulder a burden far too heavy for her small frame. "Do you think your mom would mind if I came to visit?" he asked gently. Sarah looked confused but nodded. "I think she'd be okay with it. She's always telling me to trust kind people." Barron smiled. "Great. Let me grab something from my car first." He returned to the car and spoke to his driver, who immediately made a few calls. Then, carrying the basket of candy canes, Barron followed Sarah down the snowy street to a modest apartment building. The building was old and a bit run down, with peeling paint and a faint smell of mildew in the air. Sarah led him up a narrow staircase to the 3rd floor. She knocked on the door and called out, "Mom, it's me!" The door creaked open to reveal a tired-looking woman in her 30s, holding a baby wrapped in a thin blanket. Her eyes widened when she saw Barron, a stranger standing in her doorway. "Who's this, Sarah?" she asked, her voice wary but polite. "This is, he bought all my candy canes, Mom, and he wanted to come say hi," Sarah explained, her excitement bubbling over. Barron stepped forward with a warm smile. "Hi, ma'am. I'm Barron. Sarah told me about your family, and I just wanted to help in any way I can." The woman looked surprised and a bit flustered. "Oh, that's very kind of you, but we're fine, really. We don't want to impose." "It's no imposition at all," Barron said sincerely. "In fact, I'd like to do something special for you and your kids, if you'll let me." Before she could protest, there was a knock at the door. The driver Barron had spoken to earlier was standing there with bags of groceries, a large box wrapped in festive paper, and a small Christmas tree. "What's all this?" Sarah's mom asked, her voice trembling. Barron stepped aside to let the driver bring everything in. "It's Christmas Eve," he said, "and no family should go without food, warmth, or a little joy. There's a holiday meal in those bags, gifts for Sarah and your baby, and a tree to brighten up your home." Tears streamed down the woman's face. "I don't know what to say. We've been struggling so much, and this is more than I could have ever hoped for." Sarah threw her arms around Barron, hugging him tightly. "Thank you. This is the best Christmas ever." As the evening went on, Barron stayed to help set up the tree and unpack the groceries. Sarah's mother, whose name was Sarah, shared her story. She had lost her job months ago and was struggling to make ends meet. Her husband had passed away the previous year, leaving her to care for the kids alone. Barron listened intently as Sarah spoke, his heart growing heavier with every word. Her resilience was remarkable, but it was clear that life had not been kind to her. She had taken odd jobs wherever she could find them, cleaning houses, sewing clothes, even walking dogs, but it was never enough. "The kids are my strength," Sarah said with a soft smile, glancing at Sarah and her siblings. "They keep me going. I just want to give them a happy Christmas, even if it's a small one." Barron looked at Sarah, who was laughing with her brothers as they admired the twinkling lights on the tree. She seemed so full of life and hope, despite the hardships her family faced. "I don't think anyone should have to fight this hard just to survive," Barron said finally, his voice low but resolute. "Especially not during Christmas." Sarah nodded, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "We all have our battles, but kindness like yours tonight, it reminds me that there's still good in the world." Barron felt a lump in his throat. He thought about how fortunate he had been, growing up with every advantage, and how he had often taken those blessings for granted. "I want to do more," he said suddenly, the words tumbling out before he could stop himself. "I can't just leave here knowing what you're going through." Sarah started to protest, shaking her head. "You've already done so much. We couldn't possibly—" But Barron raised a hand to gently stop her. "Please," he said earnestly, "let me help. This isn't charity. It's just one human being wanting to make life a little brighter for another." Sarah looked at him, her lips trembling as she tried to process his words. For so long, she had been forced to carry everything alone, her pride her only armor. But there was something about Barron's sincerity that made her want to believe. "All right," she whispered, tears slipping down her cheeks. "But promise me this. Promise me it's because you truly want to, not because you feel obligated." Barron leaned forward, meeting her gaze. "I promise," he said firmly. "I've never been more certain of anything in my life." In the days that followed, Barron worked tirelessly behind the scenes, his heart set on bringing light to Sarah's world. He made calls to connections he had never thought to use before, seeking ways to help without overstepping. Every conversation, every effort, was driven by the image of Sarah's small hands clutching her candy canes and Sarah's unwavering determination to protect her children. He started with their living situation. The drafty apartment, with its flickering lights and broken locks, wasn't a place for a family to thrive. Barron arranged for them to move into a cozy townhouse just a few blocks away. It wasn't extravagant, but it was warm, safe, and spacious enough for the children to have their own rooms. When Sarah saw the new home for the first time, she was overwhelmed. She walked through the rooms in stunned silence, running her fingers over the freshly painted walls and the sturdy kitchen counters. "It's yours," Barron said softly, standing in the doorway with Sarah perched on his hip. "A place where you can build new memories." Sarah turned to him, her eyes wide with disbelief. "How could I ever repay you?" she asked. "You don't have to," Barron replied gently. "Just promise me you'll fill this house with love and laughter. That's all I could ever want." But Barron wasn't done. He knew that long-term stability required more than just a home. He reached out to a renowned culinary institute and managed to secure a scholarship for Sarah. The moment he told her, she broke down, clutching the acceptance letter as if it were a lifeline. "You believed in me when I didn't even believe in myself," she said, her voice choked with emotion. "I'll never forget this." Sarah and her siblings adjusted quickly to their new home. Barron made sure they had everything they needed: new clothes, school supplies, and even a little Christmas tree that they decorated together. He spent hours with them, helping them string popcorn garlands and hang ornaments, their laughter filling the room like music. One evening, as they sat around the tree, Sarah climbed into Barron's lap with a serious expression. "Do you believe in Santa?" she asked, her big eyes searching his face. Barron chuckled softly. "I think Santa's spirit lives in all of us," he said. "It's about the joy we bring to others." Sarah nodded thoughtfully, then hugged him tightly. "You're kind of like Santa," she whispered. Barron felt his throat tighten. "Maybe just a little," he replied, stroking her hair. On Christmas morning, Sarah and the kids woke up to another surprise. Barron had arranged for a small celebration in their new home, complete with a festive breakfast and gifts under the tree. Each present was chosen with care. Books for Sarah, building sets for her brothers, and a new set of chef's knives for Sarah. As they unwrapped their gifts, the room was filled with shouts of joy and gratitude. Sarah watched her children with a smile that lit up her entire face. "I've never seen them this happy," she said quietly to Barron, who was sitting beside her with a cup of coffee. "It's what they deserve," Barron replied. "And so do you." The day was filled with warmth and laughter, but it was what happened that evening that left an indelible mark on everyone's hearts. Barron had invited a few of his close friends to join them for dinner, people he trusted to understand the importance of this moment. They brought dishes to share, turning the meal into a true feast. As they sat around the table, Sarah stood up, holding her glass of sparkling cider. "I don't know how to put into words what this day means to me," she began, her voice shaking. "For so long, I've been struggling just to keep my head above water. But tonight, I feel like I can finally breathe. And it's all because of you, Barron." The room fell silent as she looked at him, her eyes shining with gratitude. "You didn't just change our circumstances. You reminded me that there are still good people in this world. You gave my children a Christmas they'll never forget, and you gave me hope for the future. I'll carry this kindness with me for the rest of my life." Barron felt a lump in his throat as the room erupted into applause. He had never sought recognition for his actions, but hearing Sarah's words touched him deeply. After dinner, as the kids played with their new toys and the adults lingered over dessert, Sarah approached Barron with something behind her back. "What's this?" he asked, smiling at her shy expression. "It's for you," she said, handing him a small wrapped package. Barron carefully unwrapped it to reveal a simple handmade ornament, a candy cane shaped from red and white pipe cleaners. "It's for your tree," Sarah explained, "so you'll always remember us." Barron's eyes filled with tears as he held the ornament in his hands. "I'll cherish it forever," he said softly. That night, as he drove home, Barron felt a profound sense of fulfillment. The little girl selling candy canes on Christmas Eve had given him far more than he had ever expected. She had reminded him of the power of kindness, the importance of human connection, and the true spirit of Christmas. And as he hung Sarah's ornament on his tree, Barron realized that this was a Christmas he would never forget. And so what started as a chance encounter on a chilly Christmas Eve became a story of hope, kindness, and the incredible power of human connection. Barron Trump's decision to stop for a little girl selling candy canes didn't just brighten her holiday. It transformed her entire life and reminded us all of the true meaning of the season. This heartwarming tale is a simple yet powerful reminder that even the smallest gestures of compassion can create ripples far greater than we can imagine. It shows us that, no matter who we are or where we come from, we all have the ability to make a difference. So, as you celebrate this holiday season, remember Sarah's candy canes and Barron's unwavering kindness. Consider how you too can bring a little light to someone's life, because you never know just how far a single act of love can go. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like the video, subscribe for more stories, and share it with your friends. Let's spread the message of love, compassion, and hope far and wide. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas.